woke up to the sound of heavy sniffling. A small figure, barely visible in the dark, stood at the foot of my bed. After my wife left us, my daughter had been afraid to sleep alone. She comes into my room and waits for me to wake up and let her into my bed. If I don't wake up, she sniffles loudly. "What's wrong, sweetie? Are you scared?" I was already reaching out to hug her and pull her into bed when something clicked in my head. And I remembered my daughter was staying at her grandmother's house. I jumped up and turned on the light. The room was empty. Only just beyond the doorway, where the lamp's light didn't reach, the gray silhouette of a little girl was melting away. One evening, an 8-year-old girl was sitting at home watching TV with her mother. Suddenly, the broadcast was interrupted, and a message appeared on the screen. "This is a special announcement. Parents are strongly advised to send children to another room." The mother told her daughter to go to bed. The girl protested, but her mother was firm. The girl had to go upstairs to her bedroom, and the mother returned to the living room. When she sat down in front of the TV, a new message was on the screen. "Please wait." The woman sat patiently on the couch, waiting for the special announcement. A few minutes passed, and she started getting bored. Then the text changed again. The font was so small that it was hard to read. The mother leaned closer to the TV to make out the words. The message read, "Thank you. Your children are already dead." The mother was horrified. She ran up the stairs and burst into her daughter's bedroom. Her daughter was lying on the bed, no longer breathing. Someone had strangled her. No other residents of the town had heard of any TV messages. The court found the woman guilty of murdering her own daughter and sentenced her to life in prison. A girl was playing in her room when she heard her mom call her from the kitchen. The girl ran toward the kitchen. As she ran down the hallway past the closet, the door opened and the hands grabbed her mouth, dragging her inside. It was her mom. She whispered, "Don't go to the kitchen. I heard it too." This happened in January 2001. At night, I woke up because my son was standing by my bed, leaning heavily on my legs. He was 3 at the time and often woke up and came to my room. I moved my leg to give him room to climb into bed, but he didn't climb up. He just stood there, pressing down on me. I lifted my head and in the glow of the nightlight saw my son in his pajamas, but his face was all wrinkled, like an old man's. I thought I was just sleep-deprived and hallucinating. Opposite the bed was a full-length mirror, and I saw our reflection, me on the bed, and the child standing there with his legs crossed. Then he spoke in a pitiful, scratchy voice. "Mommy, take me in." I replied, "Climb in quickly, it's cold." He whined again. "Mommy, take me in." Suddenly, I heard a sigh and a smacking sound, looked over at the baby monitor, and saw my real child sleeping peacefully in his crib. I had never felt such animal fear in my life. The creature started pressing harder on my legs, slowly moving along the bed toward my head, still whining. I tried to kick, but it pinned my legs down. Burying my face in the pillow, I started praying, but I could only remember Our Father, and then my mind went blank. The creature was getting closer to my face, repeating the same phrase. My only thought was, if I die of a heart attack, what will happen to my son in the morning? It all ended in an instant. It vanished, and I took sedatives until morning. The next day, I called my relatives and strictly told them to call me every morning and check if I was okay. That evening, I was spending time at my computer as usual. Soon I got bored and decided to go to the master bedroom. My mom had gotten home from work about half an hour ago and was now lying down, resting and watching TV. When I walked into her room, she was watching the news and smiling. I sat next to her, wondering what was so funny. Mom looked at me, then suddenly asked me to bring the knife from the kitchen. It was weird, since she wasn't eating anything that needed cutting, but I went to the kitchen anyway. I grabbed a knife and was about to take it to her when my cell phone, which I had left on the kitchen counter that morning, rang. I picked it up. It was my mom. She said she was standing outside under my window and told me to get dressed so we could go get groceries. As a child, I had a recurring nightmare. Late evening, my mom is washing dishes in the kitchen and someone knocks on the front door. I go to answer it and hear a quiet, distinct whisper. "Open up." My hands shake. The whisper continues. "Come on, open up. Be brave. I'll come in anyway." I run to my mom and pull her sleeve. She reluctantly checks the door, hears nothing, and goes back to her chores. Breathing a sigh of relief, I turn to go to my room and hear the knock and whisper again. "See? Open up." But it wasn't just a dream. Sometimes I woke up to a quiet tapping on my window. We lived on the 8th floor of an apartment building with no balcony. Sitting up in bed, I'd see a long, thin finger tapping on a glass, and I'd hear the familiar whisper, "Open up." Don't believe me, laugh, find logical explanations, but I know it's true. Even though sometimes I try to dismiss it as a childhood fear. But recently, this half-forgotten fear has returned to haunt me. Because for 3 nights now, my daughter has been waking up in tears, telling me about a creature that taps on her window and whispers, "I don't know how to help her." A couple of weeks ago, a family friend, a single mother, bought a new phone. A few days later, she came home from work, put her car keys, wallet, and phone on the nightstand, and sat on the couch to watch TV. Her 6-year-old son ran up and asked for her phone to play with. The mother told him not to delete any messages or press the wrong buttons. The boy agreed and ran to his room to play. Around 11 p.m., the woman decided to go to sleep and went upstairs to tuck her son in. She found him in his room, fast asleep on his bed. The phone was lying on the floor. She picked it up and checked to see if he had messed anything up, but only found a few new photos the boy had taken while playing. When she got to the very last photo, the woman was horrified. It was a picture of her son sleeping on his bed, but the photo was taken by someone else. And was it even human?